Sound off. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It is Saturday afternoon, and today's sound off. Giuliani loses his defamation case. He actually lost. Now, some say, well, it wasn't a real loss. He just didn't show up. A loss is a loss, right? A win is a win. And for these young ladies, Ruby Freeman and her daughter, this is a win. Now, before we go into it, let's bring in our panel co-host, author and activist, Jeremy Baker.
Always ready to talk.
Always ready to talk. All right. And co-producer and content creator, Mr. Mike Folino.
Hello, everyone.
Hey there. And also joining us today is the owner of the Increase of Your Presence publicist, Mr. Ty Money Wells. Hey, Ty.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Excellent. All right. How's everybody's Saturday going?
Good,
man. I'm ready to talk about Giuliani. You know I love talking about this guy, so let's do this.
Which Giuliani you want to talk about? The one with the makeup or the one who saved the World Trade Center?
Yeah, whichever. Let's talk about the most recent Giuliani.
All right, that would be makeup Giuliani, hair dye Giuliani.
Yes, leaky hair dye Giuliani,
lawn care service Giuliani.
So if we give a little bit of background to this case, Giuliani loses his defamation case, which was brought on by Miss Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Miss Moss. Both of them, and this is them here. They both testified at the January 6th insurrection conference meeting with Congress. And both of them testified how intimidated they were, what they went through, the threats that they received, to the point that they had to quit their jobs. And these were election workers. They were just they were getting a paycheck. They were doing their jobs, but they had to quit their jobs. They had to lock themselves in their house. Sometimes they had to go elsewhere to beat the media. And the people that were browbeating them and calling them all kinds of names. I mean, as they testified to it, it was complete hell for them, complete, utter hell. And it was heartbreaking to watch, right? I know it was for me, because these two young ladies had nothing to do with what was going on, with the big picture. And they now realize that they were part of a big picture. And so now you have this gentleman, Mr. Giuliani, who used to be America's favorite mayor, no more because of the shenanigans and the nonsense that he's decided to assume himself with, along with Donald Trump. These women are now able to gloat and smile that they have won this defamation case. Now, some folks say they didn't actually win. They won by default, but it doesn't really matter, does it? As mentioned before, a win is a win. And for the fact that they won by default, doesn't that mean that Giuliani did not really have any proof to prove his standing, that he is innocent of these defamation charges? And he knew that he was not. He knew that he was lying. And that's what the case in Georgia is all about. We're going to come to the bottom of what happened and why these two poor women were put in the middle of it and their lives completely destroyed, just to help prove a man's point, or try to keep him into the White House. They tried to ruin the lives of these two women. So my panel, let's discuss this. Let's talk about it. First of all, is everyone happy that Giuliani lost this case?
Absolutely.
Yes.
He deserved to lose. I mean, the forfeit, if you're in sports and you're keeping count, the forfeit is still a loss. So it's still in the loss column. That sucker still counts. And the next thing, the next trial that'll be happening is to determine how much Ruby Freeman and Shane Moss are going to get from broke ass Giuliani, who's going to have to somehow figure out, because he's exhausted all options when it comes to finances. He is broke, and Donald Trump is not helping him in one bit. And I don't care if he's holding some bullshit donation dinner.
So let's talk about this. So first of all, some say that Giuliani is full of it. He is not broke because currently he has a $7 million property on the market here in New York City that's been put on the market for sale. So how could you be broke with that? However, it's also been said that he owes millions of dollars in legal fees from the past. And we know that Trump is planning to do a fundraiser for him come September at $100,000 per head. What do you have to say about that?
Wow. I mean, obviously his idea of broke is not our idea of being
broke. Tell me about it.
I don't have no properties to sell.
Yeah.
One. Yeah. But I think with the legal fees and all of that stuff, man, I think a lot of that stuff, I think he's gonna take a page out of Trump's book, and soon we'll be hearing that he's filing bankruptcy and all of that, to kind of get these things taken care of for him. So that's my take on it. I think he's just following his leader.
Yeah, because that's the easiest, quickest way out of it, right? Bankruptcy.
Right. Just be a slime.
And a scumbucket.
Look, this was, I don't want to say a long time coming, but this isn't a shock that he forfeited it, okay? And it wasn't like a default forfeit. He chose to not comply with what was asked of him and expected in a reasonable course of the trial. He did not supply any opposing material to support his side of the case during the discovery phase of the trial. He was fined by the judge like $100,000 or $90,000 or something like that, because every marker when he was supposed to show up in court with this material, he did not. Because like every other argument that Giuliani and his overlord Trump make, and the Republican Party who supports these guys, there is no truth to what they say, right? He was saying in one of his interviews on one of his podcasts that maybe Miss Moss and Freeman were just passing drugs around. Why? Well, let's blame the black people for passing drugs around. I don't know. I mean, ginger mints are really cool, but I don't know anyone's getting high off of them. But it's just the ease at which these people, these racists, these megalomaniacs, these monsters in the Republican Party, they just lie, they defame, they treat people, innocent people, like garbage just to do whatever they can to support their lie. These two women are patriots, and if the MAGA people can overuse this word, I'm going to use it on two people who deserve it, because they were election workers who refused to bow down to the pressure of their president trying to destroy their lives and threaten them. They were getting death threats. They were getting harassment because they were doing their job. And they won because this scumbag, Rudy Giuliani, couldn't even show up to court with the materials to provide his side of the case. What does that tell you?
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. These women deserve to gloat from ear to ear. They deserve to get all the money in the world, and it doesn't matter whether Giuliani claims bankruptcy or not. And I know that they feel that way too. What matters is vindication. They did not cheat while they were government employees. They did nothing wrong, and they were basically just pulled in to somebody else's conspiratorial mishaps. And that person is Donald Trump. And by the way, it still flashes in my head, Donald Trump saying he did nothing wrong. So let's take these two innocent women. Really? You did nothing wrong? So then what's happening to these two women? Nothing? They didn't go through anything, and it's not because of you? You're the one that everyone, all 19 of these defendants are almost ruining their lives for this one man, and he takes no accountability for them or anyone else involved in this situation. And it's sad.
The one thing I hate that the MAGA politicians do, and this is something I think is the most horrible thing you can do to a human being, is dehumanize them, make them feel less than human. And they do it so well. I mean, listen to the way they said it. They said Giuliani, he could have said he thought they were passing a flash drive, but no, he said they were passing a flash drive like it was crack and heroin.
Yep.
Okay, so he threw that little extra bit in there to make them look like they were doing something. So immediately people focus on that. I hate when people are dehumanized for not doing anything wrong, for somebody else's agenda. It's not fair for you to put somebody else down so you can gain something in life. I mean, it's messed up, and it's got to stop in this country, especially with politicians.
Right. Yep. And the analysis that he used was so racist and prejudiced and full of bigotry, right? As if they were passing around crack vials. First of all, how many of y'all, we all know, I'm sure we all know someone who has dabbled in drugs, crack, cocaine, whatever, okay? or seen it. How many of y'all know a drug addict or a crack addict pass a vial in front of you?
Well, how about
on camera?
Pass it
on camera.
What about passing it at work? Most crack addicts,
right?
I mean, you know, not like the wonderful, nice, sniffy cocaine that everyone on Wall Street and Don Jr. is using and can still hold a job, right? Most crackheads are not like going to the election office to make sure there's a secure, free, and fair election. So, like, the ignorance of white supremacy and racism just shines through to anyone with a third of a brain. Now, these people, to your point, Jeremy, they're not human. I don't mean Ruby and Shay. I mean Rudolph Giuliani. What kind of person? You're not a person. If you're going to just take away someone's humanity, spew extreme buzzword racism just to what? Try and prove a point that you know is a lie. You don't believe what you did is not wrong. You don't believe that. You know it's a lie. You know this didn't happen. But nope, just throw it out there. If something happens to these ladies, oh well.
Right. And if you go ahead, Ty.
Oh, I just wanted to say, and it's really infuriating, you know, to the Black community, because you know we're constantly having to deal with these things, and we know what the crack epidemic did to the Black community, and to take these two ladies who look to be very distinguished ladies, and I mean the older lady there. I mean, she looked like she could be the perfect grandma. You know, that's Patty LaBelle right there. You know,
that's right. So, she looked like she's a fun grandma.
Right. And so to put her into that phrase or you know or place a crack epidemic in something that was so horrible in the Black community, and for you to just throw that around so loosely like that, I mean, it's horrible. You know, and it shows what kind of person he is and what kind of people we are dealing with these Trumpers, as I may say, you know, and
speaking of,
and it's classic Trumpism, you know.
Speaking of fun grandma, I wish my grandmother had green hair, purple hair, red hair. Right? Grandma, come over here and take a picture with me.
Right?
Yes.
Well, now Giuliani has layers of problems. I was writing them down, and I feel like I'm forgetting something here. Now he has the defamation case, which is now a loss. And we're going to find out how much that's going to cost them. But now he has the Georgia RICO case, which is going to cost them a small fortune, which he doesn't have. He has the harassment case with his former aide, which is going to cost him.
The titty case.
Yeah, the transcript from that is grotesque.
Oh my God, it's awful. And now I'm going to add an extra layer because we talked about it a little bit before the show, and I am going to sneak it in here. But now there's a possible FBI whistleblower that says that Giuliani was co-opted or corrupted by Russian intelligence while serving under Trump.
Okay.
While employed by Trump.
Hold that thought before you say that. Mike was going to say something.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because what Jeremy said adds to what I was going to say. In fact, all three of you have been saying different little bits and pieces that lead up to my hopefully it's a point. And that's the idea that Rudy Giuliani at one point was America's mayor. I don't know how real that was, because that probably was just propagated through news media and the newspapers. But that's because us in New York at the time, we loved him. And one thing that people like to talk about of the old Giuliani is how he cleaned up New York. He cleaned up New York City. No, what he did is he kept applying these racist laws to round up crack addicts who were, let's just say, allowed to proliferate due to other racist policies. So he didn't clean up New York City. He just rounded up the black people and charged them with draconian laws and put them in prison. This isn't a man who was ever just a righteous champion of freedom. He might have been a good attorney general or whatever, but that just means he was applying the laws that existed. He didn't find any fault in racist laws. Is it really shocking that maybe he did have something to do with Russia investigations, or that he was a monster to the people that worked with him? No, because just because someone said he's America's mayor does not mean we should hold him to that standard. He didn't prove it. He didn't prove it to me. He's not proving it now. So let's not pretend this guy was anything more than some other dude who had a job and ended up where he is today by his own choices. He did this to himself.
And not to mention, he was America's mayor, quote unquote, over 20 years ago.
A lot can happen.
A lot has changed since then.
I'm trying to pull up a picture. I don't know if it'll let me show it. Yeah, here
Todd,
we go.
You are from Texas. What's the word out there in regards to Giuliani?
I mean, we just, like I said, we're sitting back watching this guy, and we're thinking, that he's a piece of crap. I mean, he really is, and there's no other way to put it. I was just talking to some guys the other day about the whole thing, and this was before that. He didn't show up. And we know what happens, why you don't show up. There was no evidence. You was wrong. You're not. There's no way you're gonna win it. So I'm not gonna even spend gas money to get there, because I know I'm not gonna win it. But I was talking to those guys, and they were saying the same thing. And these, again, I live close to the Killeen base, Fort Hood, or now Fort Cavazos, and a lot of my friends and stuff are military and stuff like that, and we all share the same opinion about this guy. He knew that he was wrong, and he knows that that he wronged those women, and for him to not show up and face it is that's, like I said, that's less than even dishonorable, just not to show up. Because if you're wrong, you're wrong. At least show up and admit you're wrong, or take accountability, or receive the punishment, but not showing up as if, you're not even going to give them the satisfaction, but that's okay, because they'll get the satisfaction in their bank accounts.
Kind of reminds me of how Donald Trump didn't even show up for the E. Jean Carroll rape case.
Yep.
Right.
Same thing. The
they're
coward.
cowards.
See, now these guys are great at trying themselves in the media. They are perfect at telling everybody how innocent they are, how great they are. But when it comes to the real world, when you have to present evidence in the court of law per their procedures and guidelines, they have nothing. They don't even show up. They just don't even show up.
As a lawyer, what do you think? Giuliani thought that the judge was going to be like, oh, I guess he can't present evidence. Let's dismiss the case. That's not how this works.
Right.
That's not how this works. Once you're in the trial, you're in it. You got to participate or you lose.
But he knows this too, does he not?
Of course.
He's one of the most famous prosecutors in the United States.
Exactly.
Within our lifetime. So he definitely
made his name. Made his name on RICO cases, and now he's in one.
The reports are all the people that he put in jail for RICO are like eating this up, right? And I'm not saying yay for the criminals, but bravo to them. Not because it was unjust that they were tried under RICO. I have no doubt that they deserved it, and they are in fact guilty, but it's just got to be somehow satisfying that someone who was so high and mighty, holier and now, or some beacon of justice in the criminal mind, to see someone like that fall under the same crimes that you were convicted of. I get it.
Hell, I find it amusing, and I'm not even
a criminal.
Watching him fall, man.
Who doesn't believe that on the day that Fani Willis came forward with these indictments, that Ruby Freeman and her family were cheering champagne
Good.
with one another, hugging and kissing each other like they won the lottery or like it's New Year's.
I
Oh
hope they
yeah.
did.
Oh yeah. And they
I think
and I mean and it's they really did. And I wanted to point out to you guys too, because he touched bases on that, how successful of an attorney he is in this RICO case, as well as this attorney that Trump just hired, and several of those other guys on there are really successful attorneys. So I don't want us, and when I say us, I mean us that know that they are guilty, to think that this thing is going to be easy, or that they're not going to go jump through every loophole and every bit of the law to try to get off over here, because we know that these guys are successful in because if you can prosecute a RICO case, then you can defend a RICO case. So
Fair.
it's not going to be easy to get these guys put in jail. But no matter how deserving, and we know that the court system has not always got their man. So
And that's a good
we
point.
definitely should be keeping track of this and
That's a
following
good point
the
to bring up. It's not going to
tactics.
be easy. These court cases are not going to be easy for DA Willis. However, I think just the fact that she was willing to bring these indictment charges forth, that she had the balls to do that. I'm not going to say that that's enough, because everyone involved wants to see justice done, but it definitely does help the aura, right, or the atmosphere, to say that you can't just go and conspire and commit treason, and have meetings with one another to try to topple the government without any consequences. And that goes for both sides, Republican and Democrat. Now, Republicans hate the fact that there are no treason stories to talk about on the Democratic side. Okay, you have never seen a Democrat or an independent crawling up the Capitol building, or breaking in the windows of our house. You've never seen that. So unfortunately for them, we only have the Republicans to use as an example of what not to be, or who not to follow, because that in no way is law and order, is it?
Mm-mm.
Not at all.
Now,
Not at
I think we said this on a previous episode, because we've talked about Ruby Freeman and Shamos before, that I hope they feel they got justice that they deserve. That they feel good about what's going on right now. Like, after all the suffering they've endured, I hope this is some silver lining. And I hope this doesn't
A
discourage them
beginning
from in
of.
the future participating in democracy and participating in the electoral process. You know what I mean? They are a key part of how our elections function properly. They're also a key part of why our elections are secure. Okay.
Yes.
Not only were they just doing their jobs, they were also making sure that we had a free and fair election. That's what
Yes.
democracy is all about. And they were dehumanized, like we said before. They were made enemies of MAGA, and they were literally threatened. Their lives were threatened for doing their damn jobs and trying to make sure that the
You
election
believe
process is
it?
upheld properly.
Well,
Can
that was the ulterior motive. Yeah, try and blame them so we don't go to prison. Fine. But the underlying threat in all this is try to destroy Americans' faith in democracy, while they subvert democracy by using what's left of
Mm-hmm.
democracy to then implement their version of fascism. I mean, they want as few people to vote as possible. They want as many white people to vote as possible and as few non white people to vote as possible. They prefer that anyone who votes is over the age of 25. I mean, they're trying to do whatever they can. So if they could scare people, maybe being an election worker isn't a safe job anymore. I don't know that I'm just going to risk that and the security of my family and my life just to make a paycheck. Well, screw this. Now suddenly the good people are leaving those jobs, and the people that are willing to be fake electors and willing to do the crimes to keep these people in power, they're going to get the jobs.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. I am, because I want to say publicly, this is a public news announcement. Okay, all election workers, do not give up your jobs.
Please.
Do
No.
not give up your jobs. That is exactly what the opposite side wants. That is exactly where they want to lead you. Okay, back home, shove yourself under your bed, in your closet, okay, and be unknown to the rest of the world, so that they can bring their own people in and one day accomplish exactly what they set out to accomplish before. So, although I understand we have families, we have children, and our families come first. Our wives, our husbands, our children comes first. Absolutely. But please, somehow, some way, find a way of getting around it, whether it's law enforcement getting involved, a lawsuit, or any of such matter, but try not to leave the job. We need you. We need people like Ruby Freeman and her daughter. We even need politicians like Governor Kemp, right? It doesn't matter, again, whether you're Republican or Democrat. We need honest individuals who believe in the Constitution, who believe in the rule of law, okay, law and order and equal rights. Now, I'm only talking about equal rights and law and order with this circumstance, okay, of the type of people that we need to uphold the rule of law. We also need more Mike Pence's, right? He could have made everything go into the toilet, excuse me, but he didn't. He followed the rule of law on January 6th. And that is why we are where we are at. The rightful, duly elected president is occupying currently the White House at the moment, and all of those other cronies and criminals now are all on. In my head, I was about to say death row. Are all on indictment roll for the roles that they played in this. So I just wanted to make that public announcement. Any election workers coming up for 2023 and 2024, please keep your positions, stay there, do what you have to do to protect yourselves and your family. But please, we need you. The country needs you.
And if I may
I
add
just
to
want
that,
to go ahead, Ty.
let's.
Go ahead, Ty.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I may add to what you said, because that's exactly right. Yeah, please keep your jobs. And for us as a community, let's protect our election workers, because we need
Yes,
those people. We
Yes.
need those good
Yep.
Absolutely.
people. So let's show up. Show up not just to the polls to vote, but let's show up for them too as well. Let's walk them to their cars afterwards. Let's get them home safely. And let's protect them, because we need those people.
thank you, Ty. I will
Great take.
echo that sentiment. Okay. All those that live within the communities of those fellow election workers whose lives are being threatened, we need you to stand up in defense and protection of them as well, and to speak out to those that you know are doing the intimidation and are causing the violence at hand. To help those election workers understand and feel they are not alone. Okay, they're not going to take on the Constitution and the rule of law by themselves. Okay, great point, Ty. Thank you.
I just want to add that I'm glad that we're seeing consequences of actions, especially by people as high up as Donald Trump, Giuliani, and so forth and so on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think that will help people maybe hopefully have we're going to be dealing with idiots for a long time after this, but I think hopefully this gives people renewed faith in democracy and the electoral process, because you can argue all you want. Everybody that has any amount of sense, and that's experts in these fields, has said that the last election was probably one of the most secure elections we've ever had in American history.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
So the MAGA can say all they want.
And not only that, why do they act like everyone forgot what we went through in 2016? Nobody forgot what we went through in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. Okay, and Russia, the possibility of them being involved, and all the lies and conspiracies that Trump ran around with at that time. So you have to know that they are going to be double, triple, quadruple careful that they cross their T's and dot their I's come 2020, but Trump knew that, which is why he started broadcasting way before election day of a possibility of a rigged election or fraud, because he knew that they were going to be on point. They were going to make sure their cameras was in every spot.
Yep.
They were going to make sure they had multiple supervisors and on both sides, on the Democratic and Republican side, watching each other. And that's exactly what we had. And like you said, Jeremy, they said they proven this was the most honest and factual election in history. But now we've got someone like Donald Trump to come and try to say, no, that's not true. It was rigged with no proof.
He's doing it again, right? I hate mentioning it, but on Grift Social, the guy posts 400,000 polls a day. He posted one the other day where he apparently came in and beat Biden by a huge margin on whatever poll he chose. And then he goes, man, this poll says that if we lose Georgia, obviously there was election interference. He's doing the same thing again. I mean, it's even more pathetic than last time because we're obviously aware of the depth of his grift.
Right.
My God, he has no other playbook, so he's just repeating the same thing, but it's out in the open now. Everyone knows it's bullshit, but he's doing it again. He's trying again.
The only people that believe him is his sycophants over at like you said, we call lie social. We cannot call it truth. So
there's no truth involved.
Said it.
Never.
There is no truth on that website.
Never.
Except the one that they show inadvertently, which is how shitty they are. That's the truth.
Exactly.
That is truth.
That's the truth.
Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Last minute comments.
I'm good. I got it all out. I'm good.
Giuliani.
And
Everyone
I could go on for days.
Exhale now.
Yep.
Gollum, my precious.
It's what he is.
Thank you for this outlet. Thank you for this outlet.
Hey, no problem.
Right. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Mike. As usual. Okay. So the main point to today's sound off is giving honor and respect to these two beautiful women, Miss Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Miss Moss, and to basically say to them, we're happy that you're happy. We know that there's a lot more to go, and I'm sure there's still intimidation going on, but at least this is the start to something different, start to a change, and as well as we hope that this will prevent any unnecessary shenanigans to next year's election in 2024. As one of my commenters, Mike, mentioned, Trump is trying to start it again, and bring up the nonsense that if he doesn't win in Georgia, that means it's rigged. But we've already seen that story, right? We've been to that movie theater. We've heard that song, so he can play it over and over and over again. The majority of the country, which are able-bodied and well-minded individuals, know that it's crap and know not to entertain it with another thought. With that said, again, kudos to these two women. May they take this as a victory and continue on taking more and more victories. I'm assuming the next situation would be how much money they're going to be awarded. Now, whether they get that money or not remains to be seen, but at least it would mean something to the fact of them being awarded that money. Who knows? Giuliani might have to check into the nearest homeless shelter pretty soon. We don't know if he claims bankruptcy. Okay, with that said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in and tuning in. Tune into our weekend review that will be Monday morning from Hawaii. I will be in Hawaii. I hope to see you there. Please follow, like, and share the live. Sharing is caring. And if you have any comments or questions, please do not hesitate to send them to here at the Esteban Hour on all social media platforms. Have a great, happy Labor Day weekend, my friends. I love you all, and I will see you at the next show. If you have a goal or accomplishment that you've achieved, don't forget to say to yourself, this is how we do it.